So as this year comes to an end, and we all made resolutions at the beginning of 2022, whether we kept them, whether we didn't keep them. But I can say for myself that I didn't necessarily keep all of them. I felt like for a lot of them, I was kind of just like shooting to the moon. I actually like made tangible steps towards any of them. I was always trying to bite off a lot more than I could chew. Always set big goals. Your goals should be so big to the point that people criticize you for it. Say like those goals are unrealistic. Like some of my goals now, if people saw them, they'd be like, "That's unrealistic. That's ridiculous. Like you're not gonna be able to achieve that stuff in the time that you've set it." Right? That's what you want. However, you need to be obsessing over these goals. You need to be like constantly on them and working and working and working towards these goals. You need to be able to stay disciplined with your goals and keep at them even when you don't feel like it, when the motivation's ran off, when it's 5 in the morning and it's cold and you don't want to go out for that run, but that's what you have to do in order to build your dream body. There's a lot of things that go into these resolutions, a lot of things that go into these goals that you have, but if you're not willing to put in the work and actually stick with them, you're not going to go anywhere. It's just going to end up being a waste of time. And that's what happens to a lot of people in New Year's and for their New Year's resolutions. You shouldn't be one of those. You shouldn't be one of those people that just say, "Oh, I'm gonna cut out this. I'm gonna cut out this. I'm gonna start doing this and that and that," and then you just like for the gym, for example, you're gonna be one of those people that says, "Oh, I'm gonna start going to the gym more often. I'm gonna work out like every day. I'm gonna get really big and strong," and then like first weekend you're out. Why was that? Well, very simple. There's a lot of simple things, like a lot of reasons why people don't actually achieve their goals. One of them is, like I was saying, discipline. Most people, when things start to get hard, shit hits the fan, they don't want to keep working at it. They just want to stop for a little bit. And it's that stopping for a little bit part that's very dangerous. It's like a slippery slope. Like you stop for this and then you stop for this. Like let's say you don't go to the gym one day because it's like a blizzard outside. You literally cannot go to the gym. Crazy snow, ice everywhere. Like you can't drive. There's snow all over the roads or whatever, right? You say, "Oh, I can go to the gym today because of this," right? And so that's like, okay, understandable. You could work out at home, but most of the people there, if they don't work out at home, that's how you know it's going to start to slip. That's how you know that they're not actually obsessed and focused on their goals like you should be, and they're going to just slip and fall into the abyss of just mediocrity. It starts to slip even more because instead of it being like a blizzard, it's just really cold. It's like 20 degrees outside, something like cold, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't go because it's like really cold and stuff," and then they're gonna make more and more excuses. If they run out of the weather, they can say, "Oh, I'm really busy with school," like it's final season, so they're like, "Okay, I can't go work out at the gym." Again, you could work out at home. You can see the patterns as they continue. Like you just start to make more and more excuses, then eventually you haven't gone to the gym in weeks, you haven't gone to the gym in forever. And so that's what happens with New Year's resolutions. People allow a little bit of bullshit to creep through, and then it just becomes more and more and more and more until their life is nothing like what they wanted it to be. So that's when it comes to building new habits. That's what a lot of people will do. When it comes to breaking old habits, that's just a different idea. And so with that, people will be faced with temptation. Let's say you want to stop eating junk food. Let's say you want to stop smoking or drinking or whatever type of temptations you might have. When you're faced with those temptations, what a lot of people do, or not even faced, it's just people will take those temptations and they will cut it out their life completely. Like they will go completely cold turkey on it, which is a good thing to do in some cases, but this is the issue with that. When you do that, and the way most people go about it, like let's say you're addicted to some websites, you'll have blockers, or let's say you don't want to spend so much time on social media, you'll delete the apps, or you'll put time limits on it or whatever. But the issue with that is that you are making it so, or out of sight, out of mind type of situation. But what happens when it's in sight? Well, then you fold because you have no sense of accountability. You can only not do the thing as long as it's not in front of you. What happens if it is in front of you? What happens if you're out with your friends and they all start drinking? You're going to start drinking because you have no sense of accountability. You have no sense of discipline in yourself, because whenever you see those addictions that you have, you just fold right away. You just go straight to them. And so with that, you're not going to ever actually have the self-discipline and the accountability to just not do it, because you're not used to seeing it and just not doing it. You're always used to not seeing it and then you subsequently don't do it. But like the important part for this is that whenever you have a temptation, you really want to do this, you really want to do that, it's important. It's very important that you just sit there with it. You have the temptation to go eat the junk food. You have the temptation to go smoke, go do this, go do that, But what's important is that you just sit with it and you just deal with the fact that you have a temptation. Just sit with it. Feel it throughout your whole body. Realize that this is your body wanting something, but you are too focused on your goals. You're too focused on your mission to actually steer off of it and go do this, go do that. Now, obviously, that does mean, you can't have like a big cheat meal every once in a while. Like that type of stuff doesn't count for, other addictions. Other addictions, just like you shouldn't, there's not really any leeway for it. That's a big thing with discipline. Now, the reason that a lot of people don't stick to their New Year's resolutions is that they have no sense of routine. When your life is without routine, it's just full of chaos. Because if there's no routine, there's no discipline to stick by it. And there's no discipline, it's not going to get done. You can't run off motivation alone, You have to have a sense of accountability and discipline to just stick to a routine. That's what a routine does. A routine builds discipline. A routine builds habits by saying, okay, at this time every day, I'm going to be doing X or I'm going to be doing Y. You don't have any leeway to argue with it. A routine will hold you accountable and keep you in check. So rather than sitting around on your ass not doing anything, you're actually doing something. As for my routine, in winter break, usually goes, it's winter break, so I'm a bit more lenient with like the times I wake up and whatever, right? But usually like wake up, hit the gym, come back. Usually by the time I'm back, I have a little bit of time before I have to eat lunch. So like might just like read a book, might, work on my channel, work on some other things. At lunch, I just keep working on different things, and that's usually like the gist of my schedule. I mean, I'm still working on it. It's not perfect. I kind of just threw together that schedule like a few days ago. I wasn't really thinking too deep about it, but now I have a much better vision about what I need to do, because I've been reflecting on this a lot. I've been journaling about this a lot. So another big issue that a lot of people have with their resolutions is that they try to bite off more than they can chew, right? And what does that mean exactly? Well, I've fallen victim to this as well. I'm not trying to say that I've never done this. I've definitely done this. This is a big issue for me in 2022. I don't know, I guess technically 2021 when I set these goals for 2022. But I had such huge aspirations, such huge visions of where I was going to be. But I didn't have any sort of plan, didn't have a game plan, didn't have like a step-by-step, not like step-by-step, but like at least like a rough roadmap. I didn't have any of that. I just said, okay, I want this, and that. Not going to elaborate. All right, let's go. That's why I didn't achieve that much this year. I mean, I'd say I still achieved some pretty great things, but nowhere close to where I should have been. Had I, done the proper planning and actually, thought about this in advance. And, there's a big trap that I fell into as well, with the trap of like just planning, which is just, you spend so much time just like watching video after video after video after video of just like what to do, how to do this, how to do that. And it's like, at some point you just need to say like, shut up, turn your phone off, and just go do whatever it is that you need to do. You want to start a business, you just go start the business. You want to do YouTube, you just go make the videos. Again, it's important for you to have big goals. I'm not saying don't have big goals. You should have goals that are sky high, above the sky. Like goals that make people think like you're crazy for thinking that. Issue is, if you're not actively working towards your goals every day, or trying to think of ways to achieve them, like realistic ways to achieve them, like step by step, and you're just saying it because it's a pipe dream, you're not gonna get there. You're just not, because none of it, it's all just arbitrary. It's all just in your head. You're not actually living it, any of it. You're just fantasizing. You're literally just, no, it's not gonna happen because you're full of shit. You're just not it. You're just not it. Like, you're not gonna be able to do that because you have never shown before that you have the discipline to do anything even remotely close to that. You cheat on your meals all the time. You can't go more than 4 days without choking your chicken. Like, you have no discipline. You haven't meditated ever. You've never gratitude journaled. You've never journaled. You never said to your parents, like, hey, like last time you probably hugged your parents was probably when you were like a little ass kid. Like, you show no signs of actually being anyone of like of value, of substance, you know. You're just living the pipe dream that you see off YouTube shorts and TikTok. Like, that's really all it is. You're still on TikTok. Like, you're still on TikTok. Like, and not like the way that, you know, I am, where I'm like uploading stuff. You're just there mindlessly scrolling for hours. How am I supposed to believe you? I don't, you know. But with all that being said, you should still have huge goals. But the thing about them is that they have to be somewhat within reach. You know, like I could think like, okay, if I really hustled hard this year, I could achieve that. You know, like starting from 0, I could make it to 100 in this year. And then going from 100 to 1,000, I can do that too. Then 1,000 to 10,000, you know, like you get what I'm saying. Should have big goals, but those big goals need smaller goals along the way. With all that being said, how do you actually go about achieving your goals? You know, because we all have huge goals. We all want to achieve great things. But how? Well, I got some solutions, guys. I know. I came in clutch. I got the solutions, guys. Some solutions that'll work for me. So for the discipline, you know, like wanting to make a habit, let's say you want to implement a new habit, let's say meditation and reading, okay? What you want to do for that is you want to create like this habit tracker. And I actually have some I've created over the past few months. Here, let me show you this way. So as you can see, you know, I have my daily habit tracker. This is for the month of October. GJ stands for gratitude journaling. And I have these boxes going all the way down for each habit. This is meditation, gratitude journaling, exercise, reading, you know, studying for my SAT, faith, and Duolingo. With this, you know, you have a box for each day. There's a box underneath each habit for each day. This is the day of the month. So you have the day of the month going down, then you have a box for each day. What you want to do, you want to make sure this is on paper, okay? Make sure that your habits are on paper. So, and you want to hang them up like in your room. That's what I did. I had this up in my room, like above my little whiteboard, right by the door before I leave. So like when I'm laying in bed, I can look over at it and I can think like, oh, I didn't do this, that today. And then when you check off the habits that you actually do that day, like let's say you meditate that day and you exercise that day, you'll check that off. But if you didn't read that day, then you won't check that off. You'll put an X through it, right? And here, like, if you look at some of the, like if you look at some of them, right, you got these like little smiley faces. I just put those by the days that I had like very good days, and then you have some of these faces. It's like I achieved literally nothing that day except for the Duolingo streak. So like with that, you like that X will like eat at you a little bit. Like you'll feel bad for it. Like you'll look at it and you'll be like, damn, I achieved nothing today. But when you got all of them, like you'll feel like, I got all these things, bro. Like I'm checked, like you check them all off and you're like, yeah, I'm the man. Like that's how you're supposed to feel. It's supposed to feel like, you know, getting like a little PR, like hitting a new PR. Like it's like a little victory for the day. And this habit tracker, you'll see like how consistent you are with certain habits, and you'll grow to, you know, really, you'll grow like new habits, obviously. Achieve the things that you want to achieve, like the small wins. Like you want to implement more meditation or reading into your life. This is how you go about doing it. You want to hold yourself accountable to your fitness journey and actually, you know, stay consistent with your exercises. This is how you do it. I found this really helpful. I have the month of October here, and then I have the month of, I'll show you something right now. I have the month of November right here, and I got December still hanging in my room. Still got to finish that out. But yeah, as you can see, I think, I don't know which month was better. Feel like it was this one. I don't know. But like, that's also a nice way to see, you can see your progression of your habits over time, see how much better you've gotten. Now, another thing I really want to reiterate with these like little habit trackers you want to do them on paper. Trust me when I say you want to do them on paper, okay? It is so much better to have these on paper, okay? Not only is it just better to actually just go up there and just check it off like this as opposed to just like tapping something on your phone, but like this is always going to be looking at you. Like this, if you hang this in your room, it will always be looking at you. It will always just, you'll look at it and you'll be like, it'll have that nagging feeling of like, oh, I didn't achieve this, that today. And like, you should have that. You should have that nagging feeling that you aren't achieving your goals. You're falling behind, you know? And yeah, sure, you'll fall behind every now. I mean, you saw how many X's were on my thing. Like I'm not perfect. I never stayed very consistent with a lot of things. Stay consistent with some, but not a lot. But I learned from that. I was like, hold on, I can do all of this, but I can't do this. Where? Let me think of. I've missed 5 days in a row. I haven't read for 5 days in a row. I haven't studied for the SAT in like a week. Like, what am I doing with myself? Like that type of feeling of like falling behind is absolutely essential to you, and that is how you will achieve, you know, your goals. I want to talk about feeling like those feelings of temptation to break. So you want to quit something and you'll feel tempted about it. You'll like be staring at it right in the face. Like you have the junk food like right there and you're just like looking at it and you're like, I want to eat it. And now obviously you won't be able to win all the time, but it's a skill. It's a skills in video games. You know, there's like a skill tree, you know, there's like a meter to it. And the more you level it up, you know, the better you'll be at it. And so for this, right, this is a skill, I would say like willpower and discipline to not fold and not cave into your desires, right? Like with the junk food analogy, if you have the junk food right there in front of you and you eat it, you've lost some, you know, skill point. Like you've lost XP, I guess. Your willpower is getting weakened. When your willpower gets weakened, you're less likely to be able to fight off that temptation in the future. Like if you eat the junk food now, then you'll open up another gateway to eat it a few minutes later, you know, like tomorrow. Like you will never get consistent in, you know, maintaining your good habits. And it's also just like if you sit there and you just that's all you have to do. You just sit there and you just look at it and you don't do anything about it. Like you have the urge to go do something that you know you shouldn't be doing, then you just don't do it. Like it sounds so simple, but it's really that simple. Like you just don't do it. Like you have a feeling, you have an urge, you have a very strong urge. By the end of the day, no one's going to be like putting that, like no one's going to literally force it down you. You are in control. Your hands are controlled by your brain. Your hands do not move on their own. Your hands are controlled by by your brain. So that's all you need to do. You just need to have the accountability and the discipline to just not do it. Like you have an urge, you just deal with it. Like you just sit there with it. You just embrace it. You just witness that, oh, I'm having an urge right now. Like I really want to do whatever I want to do, but I can't do it. So I will not do it. That's all it is. And like real talk, that's the only thing you can do. You can't do anything else about it. What are you gonna do? Like you're just gonna like keep doing it. And so every time you have the slightest urge, you're just gonna keep engaging in whatever you want to do that is destroying you. Yeah, no, I didn't think so. So you should not be doing that. You should just sit with whatever urge you have and just deal with it. Just embrace it, absorb it, and just move on. There will be times that you slip up. There will be times that you fail, and you know that's fine. That's a part of life. You're not perfect. You won't ever make it. But just because you fail once doesn't mean that you keep failing over and over and over. Like, oh, I already broke my streak. Oh, like the whole idea of a streak with bad habits is a horrible idea. You should have streaks with good habits, like with that habit tracker. You know, you should have streaks where you say like, oh, this is great. I've been reading for 5 days in a row. This is great. I've worked out for 2 weeks straight. I haven't had a day off. Like, this is great. This is what I should be doing. You know, this is like that. Those are the type of habits you should have, or type of streaks you should be counting. Streaks that you shouldn't be counting are like, oh, I haven't done this in a few days. I haven't done this in X days. I'm on day 50 of, I don't know, NoFap or whatever. Like, no, you don't do that, because then it becomes a part of your identity. And if you're always thinking about it, the whole point of cutting out an addiction is to get to that point where you don't have to think about it. Your life revolves around so many other things that vice or that bad habit it's not something that takes up any space in your mind anymore, you know. And that's the problem with counting or like having streaks of like 50-day notepad streaks, you know, 30-day notepad streaks, 1 week. Like, why are you giving it so much attention? You should not be giving it that much attention. Now, about routine, creating an actual realistic routine, you want to start off with small changes to your already existing routine, you know? Like, if you're waking up at like 12 p.m., 1 p.m., like, you're not just going to magically wake up at 5 a.m. and just everything's going to be all like good about it. No, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard to adjust to. But again, that's where that whole idea of doing the hard work when you don't feel like it, that's where that comes in. You have to just deal with it. Just like embrace the suckiness. Like really just embrace the suck. Like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. So just, that's all it is. You know, you just have to do what you need to do. When you want to create a routine, you can create like a very small, simple one starting off like in the beginning of the year, and then gradually build up as you become more and more used to the work that you're doing. You know, you can start off with a simple like 3 checklist of like wake up, exercise, meditate for like 5 minutes, like something like that. That could work. That could be a good place to start off with. Even that might be a bit too much. Like, you can honestly just say wake up, exercise. That's it. Like, maybe that could be it. Like, you have to start off small and then build up, crescendo up almost into a much more sophisticated, like one of those like millionaire morning routines. Like, those morning routines are they're solid routines. Like, I've tried some of them. Like, they're solid routines, but not if you're beginning off, not if you're in like a very dark, like, you know, depressive state and you're trying to crawl out of it. Like, you're going to need smaller things, and then you'll eventually build up to one of those routines. An actionable step that you can take right now to make sure that you don't end up like having these giant pipe dream goals, and that you actually have goals that are achievable, is take your goals. First, you need to have your big ambitious goal. You know, you have your big goal for the end of the year. You know, like, let's say you want to make $10,000 from online income. Okay, like, you want to make $10,000 from online income. Okay, great. So we're gonna start off with, we're gonna break that 10,000 over the course of a year into different amounts of money at the end of each quarter of the year. Okay, so in the first 3 months, first 6 months, first 9 months, and then at the end of the year, you want to break that money up into more digestible amounts. You know, like, you have like, and here's the thing with online income, it's exponential. So you start off with like $500 at the end of the first quarter. Like, you've had your first month where you make $500 online. Okay, that's great. Then over the course of time, you end up having your first, like, by the end of the second quarter, so halfway through the year, you've had your first month that makes $1,000 online. Great. At the end of the third quarter, so 9 months into the year, you've had your first month that makes $3,000 a year. Okay, wonderful. And then by the end of the year, you've had a month that makes maybe a little bit more, maybe you're at the same amount, you know, like 3,000 or so. But at the end of that year, after all of that, you've made your goal of 10,000, you know. And obviously you can change this goal up to whatever you want. Let's say you want to reach, let's say your bench max is like, I don't know, 135, okay? You want to get it to 200, 205, something like that. You know, you take the weight difference of that. So 135 to 205, that's what, 70 pounds. You take that 70 pounds, you break it up into 4, so 15. You want to increase your bench max by 15 pounds at the end of every quarter throughout the year. And then by the end of the year, you would have achieved your goal. The thing is, when you have it broken down into those little quarters, it becomes much easier to look at and much easier to say, okay, I'm this close to my goal by this. I'm this close to my goal by this. Because what tends to happen, we have such a long time to work with, we tend to procrastinate it. So we're like here, and in the beginning of the year, we're like, all right, I got the whole year to work on this. I don't care. I'm just going to do it some other time. You know, like, that's what happens a lot. But when you have it set into small increments, like, okay, I have to reach this by this time, I have to reach this by this time, this by this time, this by this time, and then at the end of the year, I would have reached my goal. That's much easier to digest. That's much easier to do. So again, to reiterate, just take your big goal, you know, and just break it down into what you want to achieve by the end of each quarter. Just write goals at each quarter until you reach the end of the year. So I just want to leave you guys. First of all, thank you for watching all the way through. I'd say this is probably one of the best videos I made. And I just want to say that, like, I appreciate y'all for being with me through 2022. I know I've been very inconsistent with it. That's my fault. I'm going to be working on that a lot in 2023. You know, I have great visions of like what this channel will become, where we'll go, what the lengths that we'll reach. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking with me through this year. And I can't wait to see what next year has in store for us. And yeah, thank you guys for everything. Make sure you click on this video, subscribe right here. And yeah, this is Parth. Take care.